Now let's talk about your journey with Barstool.
Oh, have we started the show?
Oh, yeah. We just kind of jumped in.
We're just rolling. We're just rolling.
Pumping Rowan's tires to start the show. All right.
Hey, well.
Let me start. Can I start really quick?
So you can start the show.
All right. St. Charles, Illinois.
Yep.
That's where you're from.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the town.
Dude, it was a really good place to grow up. Like, highly recommend. Safe. Kind of out of the way. Like, I always tell people that if you take North Ave, like in Old Town, take it straight west for like 45 miles, you'll be at my parents' front door. So we're like directly west of the city. And but mid-sized, classic kind of suburban town with not a lot going on, but I thought it was a really good place to be like a middle school, high school kid. So yeah, no complaints. Ride your bikes around. Like it was like your quintessential suburban town. And
I'm assuming growing up you didn't think like, oh, I'm eventually going to go work for Barstool or a company of that nature?
I didn't plan on being in media until like Barstool hired me. Yeah. Like I was doing like different sales and I was in manufacturing, and I was always like, I was a hockey player, and I always liked Barstool. I started reading Barstool when I was in college. It was just like Dave would put up a PDF of the newspaper that he was handing out. Portnoy would put up a PDF, and so every 2 weeks I would just like read the updated one because my best friend from college was a big Boston guy, so he introduced me to it. And I'm like, this is really, really funny. So I just got hooked. When they announced they were coming to Chicago in 2012, I had a job that I like hated, and I needed like a hobby, and I liked it. So back then, the way Barstool was structured was that you have like a main guy running like the site for the city. So you have like Dave, and then like if you're gonna do like an org chart, like New York, Philly, Boston, Chicago, we all had like a head guy, and then he would have like a guy covering each team underneath him. So I'm like, I'd love to be the hockey guy. And I had a blog that I was writing my own for a different work project. So I had like some writing samples and some background and the hockey background. So I emailed him. It was like right in the beginning of the playoffs for the NHL in 13. And then, but it was just like a fun thing. I was never trying to be like a media guy. It was just like, I wasn't getting paid. But I just thought Barstool was cool, and I thought this would be like a fun thing to do in my free time, and it grew into something that I never envisioned. So
yeah, very similar. Lyrical Lemonade started as a music blog as well.
Okay.
And I was writing about music just for my older brother's website, like for fun, like you were just saying. And eventually started here. I had some writing samples from the other site, so very similar. Where'd you go to college?
Lake Forest College. So it's like a small little liberal arts school, like an hour north of Chicago. So nothing to write home about.
By the way, this is Varsity House podcast. Your host,
Say the
Sean.
name. Yeah.
We got Barstool Chief.
You got merch.
We got merch too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, Ryan. Chief, Ryan, you know me. We're internet guys. So you got Chief.
It's literally.
Yeah.
Jake was with what's the name?
Yeah, bro.
Dre.
Yeah.
Dre.
You can call me Jake. I don't care. Jake's fine.
But no. This is Varsity House podcast. Your host Sean, co-host Elliot, here at Lyrical Lemonade, of course, and then we got Barstool Chief, also known as
Ryan Brandell. That's the name my mom gave me. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So appreciate you, stopping in.
I'm thrilled to be here. I feel like you guys are the cool kids club, and when you texted me to come through Lyrical Lemonade, I'm like, all right, yeah. And then you're like, sorry for making you hang out. Andre Drummond was here. You're shooting commercials, little videos. It was awesome. I had a great time.
I felt terrible. We were 45 minutes into the Andre one, and Sean like shows me his phone, and you're outside. I'm like,
yeah,
because I was like,
punctual guy.
I was like, bro, we have to plan before. I was like, before we started, we got to plan. When he gets here, we need someone to go get him. So because it's not easy to get in here.
No, it wasn't. Yeah,
they got this like lockdown security in here,
which is also kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. But no, so we figured it out on the show. It was kind of cool. It actually worked out pretty well. But
so if you watch the Andre Drummond podcast, you go to about 45 minutes in and you see us looking a little distressed. That's why.
That is why.
You guys are stressed over me?
Well, we're stressed over you. We like to take care of
everyone. I felt bad that we left you outside for like 5 to 8 minutes.
It was maximum 8 minutes. So you're good. I wouldn't worry about that at all. But yeah, I was thrilled you invited me.
Mm-hmm. So how was your day? What does the day look like for, a Barstool, employee, but also just, Barstool Chief?
Yeah, I'm a morning guy. I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm 36, so I feel like I wake up. I go to bed kind of early. I kind of wake up early. I don't know when that happened. It just happened. So I get up kind of 5:36, and I start getting on the internet. Like I'm looking for things to blog, looking for things I can make some TikTok video about or whatever. and that's kind of the morning routine. You just kind of start. There's certain boxes I feel like in our job that you have to check. Having some like writing things is one of them, and then we have two shows. That one of them is a daily podcast. It's called The Dog Walk. I'm on that 3 to 4 days a week with co-host Eddie, I love Eddie. You guys got to have Eddie in here at some point too. He's the best. And then we have another show. We call it the Mid Show. We had a sports podcast that we kind of changed into a live show. We called it Mid because we're kind of mid. We're kind of mid. It's kind of like people are like, "Do you know what that means?" Like, yes, we know. That's kind of the joke. And so then we do that show. That show's live on Tuesdays. And then we recorded that again today. And there's some show prep. It's like it's a full day, like a regular job, and then you go home. And I'm sitting here on a Thursday night, and my background is hockey. I'm getting a million texts and tweets about Patrick Kane getting traded. So you're never really off the clock, kind of thing, which I'm sure you guys know and appreciate too. It's content's just the internet never sleeps, so you got to always be out there.
Where can you find those podcasts?
Yeah, it's on the Barstool Sports platform. So it's on it'll be on our YouTube page, so the Barstool Chicago YouTube page, but Apple, Spotify, BarstoolSports.com, they're all going to be housed there and on the Barstool brand. Yeah.
Dope. Now, obviously, everyone knows the Barstool that it is, today.
Yeah.
And like we said before, it started off as a newspaper, a blog, and you said you joined, when they started or when they came to Chicago. Touch on just seeing the growth, because obviously recently the final acquisition was made to Penn Gaming, but you being there pretty I would say early, and seeing the development and the growth of it, and being a part of it. Talk about just where it is today now.
It is in many ways unrecognizable, right? Like we have Portnoy has become a megastar beyond anyone's wildest imagination, and well earned. Like the guy, like he makes a joke of it, and it's like for content, but he's like, I delivered all these papers, but he really did. Like he was in an Astro van, like handing out free newspapers at Boston train stops and cleaning bird shit out of like those newspaper containers. So I am like genuinely, because I've been a fan of Dave since 2005. So that's 18 years of following one guy's content and his life, because he just puts his whole life out there. I'm thrilled that he's a multi-millionaire, and he is also a great boss. Like he's a genuinely, like, people give him a lot of shit on the internet. I might not see eye to eye with him on everything, but exactly where you stand. He is so honest, and he worked really hard, and I feel like that is the formula. If you're a good guy and you work hard and you're smart, like you're going to be able to be successful, and Dave knocked it out of the park. And the growth of it, like I said, like I started off as a fan, so seeing it as like the world's worst website in terms of like tech, which didn't really change until probably like 2017, to grow into this, it is like an impact brand. Like people, like Barstool moves the needle, and that's Dave, and you can't leave out Big Cat. Like Big Cat is a guy who really brought me in, and he's, if you're going to talk about like sports, like coaching trees, like we're on the Big Cat like coaching tree. And so now he's making his move back to Chicago. We're going to be not kind of neighbors with you guys with the new office. So it's just, it's crazy that it's gotten to this point. But I hope it's not even close to done, because I've put all my eggs in this basket. So I hope we continue to grow. Yeah.
So 2012, you said that's when you began.
Yeah, so I wrote one blog in August of 2012 that Notre Dame was going to go undefeated.
And they did?
And they did that year, but I was brought in to be the hockey guy, and I had a full-time job. So I wrote one blog, and then hockey was in a lockout, so there were no games going on. So I was just like not really doing anything. And then I got an email from KFC, who runs the New York site, and Big Cat hadn't been full-time hired yet. They had this other guy named Neil, who I hope he's doing well. I don't know where he went, but Big Cat kind of shout out Neil, Neil for Neil, and so I got an email from KFC being like, hey, like, Neil's struggling. We're trying to consolidate the voices, so unfortunately, we're gonna have to let you go. So I got fired after one blog, but it was like the Kramer. I don't know if you guys watch Seinfeld, but it's like, well, I don't even really work here. So it's like no sweat off me. And so then in that transition time, hockey came back, and the Blackhawks were awesome that year. I was 13, and I emailed Big Cat being like, hey, like I was brought on to be the hockey guy. I never wrote one hockey blog because I was fired before the season started. But like, you need a hockey guy for the playoffs. Like, I'd love to do it. He goes, all right, you can have a tryout for this first round, which is about 2 weeks. And if people like you, you can stay. And that was April 2013. So we're coming up on 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And like, when you say people like you, does that just mean
The
like
internet.
You get a lot
That's
of engagement, like on your blog post, or what did that look like at the time?
Yeah, and that's one of the changes with Barstool is that it used to be so blog driven.
Yeah.
Like all the main guys, Dave, Big Cat, KFC, there's another guy named Keith, they would write 10, 12 blogs a day. And they would just grind all day, and it was like most of the revenue for the company came from the blog.
Yeah.
Now we're really more of like a podcast and a video YouTube company, and then huge on socials, obviously, but the blog is not as big a priority as it used to be. We have other channels now, and but it was like you had to write. I would spend, because I had another full-time job, so if the Blackhawks were playing in LA and it went to overtime, the game ended at 3, I'd get up at 4, write the blog for an hour, and then I had a job where I had to be there at 7:30, so shower, get something to eat real quick, and out the door, commute 45 minutes, and that was my day. So it was like early morning stuff, but it was great, and I loved doing it. And we would have these like little events around, for like watch parties and stuff, and be like, oh, like you're Chief, I'm like, yeah, like so it was like a little validation, and I live for validation from strangers, so that was great. And so yeah, it was that was 13, and it was unpaid, and just I think they started giving a little stipend in like 2016, and we got brought on full time. Our first day was January 1st of 2019. So as being full-time employees. So it was not something I set out to do, but it was weird that I was with this company that went bankrupt, and I was about to take another job and completely unrelated. And I was I was looking at moving to Oregon, and then I accepted a position, and then Dave, Portnoy offered like 4 days later. So I called the other company back and be like, staying in Chicago. I got a different thing. So.
I think an interesting point is, you joined Barstool part-time 2013, and you didn't get on full-time till 2019.
Yeah.
And, if I look up, I probably would have thought, oh, you've been with Barstool, from the beginning. And just that in general is, the slow grind, or just, grinding it out, being passionate about what you're doing, about still doing, your main job. I just want to touch on that point to where, was there any time, because I'm sure, you talk about getting an hour of sleep or getting 2 hours of sleep. Was there any point in time where you were just like, is this ever going to happen? Did you want to stop, or were you just always just motivated and driven by just your passion for writing about the hockey?
Yeah, it's weird because it was not like there are certain, and I get a lot of DMs, especially now, or like when we relaunched Barstool Chicago in 2019, where it's like, this is my dream job. Like, I want to, I love Barstool, and I always loved Barstool as a fan, but it never really occurred to me that it could be a full-time career, because it really is. Like, I'm in my 5th year now. I'm in a contract year.
Let's go.
Fifth year
numbers
with Barstool being full time. So, but it was never something that I even thought was possible, because I knew it was a small company, and I knew I loved what Barstool was. It wasn't like the main sports media. It was like a real voice, and so I loved being a part of that. And the other thing I loved about Barstool is no one tells you shit. Even that's true even today. So they don't tell you what to do with anything. You want to do a show, go do a show. You want to write something, and they don't edit you. They don't do anything. And so you really get to be like your own authentic self. And I think that's like a unique opportunity that I always really like, because I got problems with authority. So if people are trying to tell me what to do, it's like, I don't want to be a part of this. So, but Dave and Dan, they just kind of like, hey, go do your thing, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then you're not cut out for it. So far, I think it's been working.
Now, how does that process go down to where it's like, do they give you the production backing, or just, because I'm sure you guys come up with a million ideas and it's just like, oh, let's go do them. But
yeah,
how did
totally
it come about?
Totally. And that's something that's changed too. So, there's this great video of Dave. So when we started a podcast in 2018, the four original Barstool Chicago guys, we had a shared space office that we were paying for that was in Ukrainian Village, and it was in the back of a farmer's insurance. So there was like a
right across from Fatso's.
Right there. Yeah. And so we had in that we had a TV repairman had a space. We had immigration lawyer. We had an insurance salesman, and then us, and that was our office. And then Portnoy walked in. It was it went super viral because he had never seen the office. He didn't know how we were working, and we had already full disclosure. We already started the process. We had been hey, you guys can go find a real office, and we ended up in Clark and Melmont. But Dave's clip was "What are you doing? We're $1 billion company. What are you doing in this?" We were literally in a room, smaller than this space. And you guys have this huge sprawling space. Our entire operation was at an office smaller than this. Okay. And so we didn't have much backing, but now we kind of do. It's kind of you have to prove yourself a little bit. So now we have all the bells and whistles in terms of tech in the Chicago office. We have 3 full-time producers. We have full-time social media guys. So they've been really good, I would say, since 2020 about giving us resources. And I think that, now everybody's moving back. We're going to have a new office, and that's going to be unbelievable. So that'll have literally everything. So yeah, they're very good about that, and they're Dave's a very generous guy too. So I have no complaints about working for Barstool right now.
What started the big move back to Chicago?
More than anything else, Big Cat wanted to move here. So Big Cat is Dave is he's out of New York now too. That kind of happened during COVID. He spends most of his time in Miami, but we're owned by a gaming company, Penn Entertainment, and we're legal in Illinois. Big Cat is from here, and so he has 2 small children now. His wife's from here. He went to University of Wisconsin. He always liked Chicago better. The New York thing was always going to be a sprint. So he moved there in 2016. I think his original plan was 5 years, and he's back in 7. So he'll be back here at some point this summer. But that was really the main motivation. Dan he's got a kid. I think he's going into kindergarten, first grade, something like that. And I think he wanted to be in this area. And so now we're still gonna have the New York office. It's still gonna be a major presence, but that's gonna be more the comedy people. And the sports hub of Barstool Sports will be in Chicago, and the gambling and all that will be in Chicago.
That's going to be so big for the city because there's not a lot of huge media outlets in the city.
I feel like it's you guys.
And you guys, too. So, that's going to be huge to have that presence. Granted, you guys already had a presence, but getting, Big Cat and then a few of those other guys moving back.
Yeah, and that's, another thing, too, is that, we're pretty proud, the Chicago office, because we've been on an island, and, I have no complaints about the resources, but maybe, there is something we call it being in Big Cat's orbit, where if you're just around that guy, the opportunities and the following and the views, you put his name in a title and you get a 20% spike on what you would normally get, on a YouTube or a podcast. So just being around him, and also just being able to kind of learn from him day to day, seeing how he thinks and operates, that's going to be a great opportunity too. So I hope so. I hope we get rising tide lifts all boats, or whatever that is, when he comes back, and there'll be so many talented people are coming back with him. So he's bringing 8 or 10 content people, so it's gonna be really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I've been by the Barstool bar, and
the River North spot.
River North, yeah. Good environment, especially on the NFL Sunday.
Yeah, so they did. They've done a really good job with that. So I was living there kind of in January. We had a lot of different events there. So. And I think, it was a little bit of a work in progress, and now I feel like they've got it dialed pretty good. It's a good spot to watch a game. And I think the idea is you come for, let's say, I'm a big college football guy, as you know. And, but you would go, usually when you're out at a bar for watch college football, when the games are done, you want to go to more of a nightclub kind of vibe. Well, now you just stay in the same spot. it's like a sports bar until like the last game's done, and then it's like, all right, we got a DJ, we got girls, we got, it's kind of the scene you want that time of night. So they did a really good job. It's a really cool spot.
It's definitely fire. But also, we talk about college football. You mentioned Big Cats. He went to Wisconsin. He always tweets about Wisconsin. Dave tweets about Michigan.
Yep.
And you tweet about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, how we, met, I guess. We
connected,
met on,
through the Notre Dame
social
stuff.
media, on Twitter and everything. But we are both, connected to Notre Dame. And so definitely want to get your thoughts on Notre Dame. You from the Chicago area, obviously. So did you grow up a Notre Dame fan, or?
Yeah, it was it was always my dream school, but then I wanted to be a college athlete, and I was not good enough to play hockey or anything. I played high school football, but I was not good enough to play for Notre Dame, so I went the D3 route. But that was always, I love Notre Dame. Like I said, I'm 36, so I want to say Rudy came out when I was like 7. My mom's maiden name was McDonald, so like we're very like heavily Irish people. So Rudy, and then one of my earliest sports memories was that Notre Dame Florida State. You guys probably didn't even know, you're too young. They call it the game of the century. It was 1993. Like I was a baby. I was like 6 or 7, and I remember it. And it was like the greatest game ever. And like I was just like, I was hooked from that moment on. And so I loved Notre Dame my whole life. Then we settled in Illinois when I was like 11, 12. 13, something like that, and my dad and I like went to a game, and like, so then you like when you're that age, and it's like, Arnaz Battle, I don't, some of these old kind of names.
He played for the Bears.
49ers. I think he did have a cup of coffee with the Bears too. So I've just always loved them. And then I wrote that undefeated blog. They went undefeated that year, even though that blog effectively, I like to joke that it got me fired. And but I write that blog every year now as like tradition. I've written it like 10 years in a row.
And you always say undefeated?
Always undefeated. Yeah. Lowercase U, ND, undefeated. And that's become like a funny thing. And I've gotten to know like guys like you and McGlinchey, and friendly with Tommy Rees, and so it's been fun to like kind of, I mean, I'm not like, you're connected to the school. I'm just like a big fan. But like there's been people who appreciate that because people hate on Notre Dame a lot. So I think that
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy how dude, if you've been there one time, you would not hate it.
It's a great spot, and then it's always like the same tropes where like Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm excited for Ohio State fans, because Ohio State hates Notre Dame.
Yep.
I'm excited for Ohio State fans to come to South Bend this year, because I think they'll be blown away.
I'm gonna go to that game. I'm going to make every effort, I should say, to go to that game. I do have one pretty good contact, even with Tommy Reed's leaving now. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be at the game, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. And I think they'll have now they got a quarterback, I think they'll have a good shot.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tommy leaving now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the relationship you have with him. I was actually surprised. Honestly, I thought he might have left last year with Coach Kelly. And then when he stayed, I was like, okay, he's lifer.
Yeah.
And then the next season, obviously, the opportunity from Alabama and Nick Saban came, and I was still like, no, he's going to stay. Like, we got a quarterback. He'll be able to air it out more. Our running game is good. Our O-line is
running
good.
Game's nasty. Running game's the best. Yeah, and he loves running the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we got a good tight end coming up behind Mayer.
Evans.
And so I was like, okay, I was thinking if he's going to stay, but, Alabama has the same. So,
well, and I think it at some point, it is a business, and if they're going to pay you $2 million a year and Notre Dame is not, then that's you got to. He's engaged now, so he's got a family. So I think that was part of the and it is a great. Who doesn't want to learn from Nick Saban?
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him. Like I'm sad for people like us because I think he's great. But I think he'll be very successful at Alabama. He'll probably win a national championship, and then he'll probably get, I was joking like, this is a great way for you to end up back as offense coordinator of the Bears, that would be great. Yeah, so
that would be crazy.
I hope that's his career arc. I hope that's his next. As you see all the OCs go from Alabama, they always end up at a bigger job. So I hope Getsy gets like a head coaching job, and Tommy slides into that spot.
Mm-hmm. The last four out of the last five Alabama offensive coordinators are now head coaches somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
That's crazy.
That's all that
it's like Kiffin,
Dable.
Dable.
It's like one of those. Like, how do you turn that down?
Yeah,
Kirby. Kirby Smart was under.
Yeah, he was a DC
Defense,
with
yeah,
DC.
Yep, and then we're
Texas and was
Texas at Sark.
Sark.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like everybody. And Bill O'Brien just left, and he went to the Patriots to be their offensive coordinator. So it is like the ultimate trampoline spot. That being a coordinator for Saban.
As a Notre Dame fan, like, you don't want him to leave, but it's like how you can't blame him. Like, that's like the one job where it's like, all right.
Yeah, and he had interest from other Power Fives the last few years. So there was a Pac-12 school that was interested. Then obviously the LSU thing, and again, who's turning down Nick Saban and $2 million? Like, nobody.
And you know what I kind of disliked about, because I'm a Notre Dame fan too. You know what I kind of disliked about Notre Dame's fandom and Tommy Rees it was very split. And I always liked Rees, but I feel like a lot of Notre Dame fans who maybe didn't like him when he was playing kept those feelings for like a decade. Because some of my closest buddies who are Notre Dame fans hated Tommy Rees. I was like, bro, he's a great coordinator, cool guy, good recruiter. I couldn't blame him because it's like, one, you're leveling up, you're getting paid more, and half the fan base is kind of like on dirt with you for no reason.
Yeah, I've never asked him about that, so I don't know how the public perception or the internet perception of him, if that bothered him or got under his skin. But I don't know, maybe. But I think you're onto something for sure. Remember they used to call him like Turnover Tommy when he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
And it was like, he's like a 2-star recruit, got like the absolute most out of his ability.
Yeah.
He was never supposed to start, but like they had all these injuries, and then he had a guy, I think Everett Golson had had an academic issue, and so he had to like transfer. So it was like he always answered the bell, and they were always pretty good when he was there. So
2012, they needed him to win some games too.
Totally, because I think Golson was like suspended for like the BYU game. Came in for the Pitt game. What's that?
Was he ineligible?
The undefeated year he played, they would like it was like a split. I think Kelly was doing 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, if you could always tell if Golson just didn't have it that day. Like, he was super talented. He was kind of a little guy, but he had a good arm and good athlete. And there were certain days where just like, he doesn't have it today. So put Tommy in there, it'll be safe. And that to me is like, as a sports fan, like I use that as like my one of my best compliments. If the game feels safe while you're in charge, while you're out there, then I'm good. Like, I don't want to be having a heart attack. Like, even you, when you were in the backfield, I'm like, all right, I feel good about him. I feel good.
I appreciate that.
And I say that about defensemen in hockey all the time. Like, if it's, let's say, a guy in the Blackhawks, Jake McCabe, like, he's not like the world's greatest player, but I feel safe when he's out there. Like, you feel, I trust him.
There's something there with that.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like that about Ian Book. I always felt safe, like especially this past year with the multiple quarterbacks. Like, I was like, damn, I kind of miss Ian Book right now.
And he was just like he's not very athletic, but he like somehow would never get sacked, and he would like scramble and extend plays, and like I loved watching Ian.
I knew he had a chance. Shout out to Ian, but I always knew whenever he was on the field, especially like Virginia game is the big one where he
that was bomb, right?
Yeah.
And this is like an internet brain thing.
Yeah.
That fan who died in the first round, the first row rather, he's just overhangs like, oh my God. That was like one of my favorite moments as a Notre Dame fan. Ian Book, and it was Fuller, right?
That was Deshaun.
That was Deshaun.
Oh, you're right.
That was Deshaun at Virginia.
Yeah.
But there was another moment, it might have been Virginia Tech actually, where he had like a game-winning touchdown where he like rushed right, and we were home.
Kevin Austin caught it?
We were home. No,
that's when you were playing.
Yeah, that's just
I think you're right. I think that was Vatek. Yeah,
it was Vatek because they had a dope linebacker. And I remember he returned
went to the Bills.
Yeah, he returned
Jermaine Edmonds.
He returned a 99-yard like fumble recovery. It was crazy. So like it was a tight game, but Ian went in there at the end and won the game. But then also when we played Georgia on the road at Georgia, and I think we had the ball last.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I was confident. We ended up losing the game. We didn't score.
You lost by 6, right? 23-17 or something.
Yeah, like we had a chance.
Yeah.
And so he had the ball last, but like I was always confident whenever he stepped on the field. I was like, okay, like we got a chance. Like, I'm not worried about anything.
What was your favorite game to play in? Like your whole entire career at Notre Dame. Was there one standout?
Or a rivalry that you're like, I can't wait to play SC or Michigan or something like that?
He was a Michigan guy growing up too.
Is that right?
I was committed to Michigan.
Really?
I'm a Michigan fan.
Why'd you flip?
I took a visit to Notre Dame, So I was committed to Michigan after my sophomore year, so heading into junior year, committed to Michigan. And then before I was committed, I went to Notre Dame on a visit, and they had Bob Diaco as a DC. And Diaco, that was in 2012. Yeah, he loved tall corners. Like he had like Bennett Jackson, like Kavari Russell, all these guys.
I love Kavari Russell.
All these guys are over 6 foot.
Yep.
And he didn't, like, I talked to him in his office, and he was just like, yeah, like, you don't fit my scheme, you're too short, whatever. So I was like, dang, I loved Notre Dame. Like, I was, like, heartbroken, like, dang, I'm not going to Notre Dame. After visiting for the first time, it was crazy. So then I went back home and committed to Michigan, and came around the next year. Diaco left to UConn. Van Gorder came in, then, like, Kelly just, like, reopened this stuff. Like, he drove in. And just basically was just like, sorry about like whatever. But so I was like, all right, bet. Like I'm locked in now. So because
you didn't like me, he's gone.
You had me before. So like it was just I just needed the offer. So that was why I flipped.
Diaco, another legend of the internet, where he tried to create when he was at UConn. You remember hearing about this? The civil conflict.
Oh no.
He like so there. I can't remember what. I think it was Conference USA or something. It was UConn and UCF. And he tried to make UCF was like the program, and he tried to make it like a rivalry. And UCF's like, we have nothing in common. Like we just started playing you. Like it's not a rivalry. Bob Diaco like made a rivalry trophy. Would like put up like on the clock like a countdown until the game with UCF, and everyone's like, dude, like nobody cares about this game. he was just like convinced that he was going to make that a thing. He's an all time like internet coach. I love Bob Diaco.
I wonder what he's doing now.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. He was the old DC from the year they went undefeated.
Okay. I love that time period because I was in high school, and like the time period when Notre Dame had like Everett, Tommy, and then that led into like maybe Kaiser and Wimbush. Those were just some fun years.
I love
Phil
Kaiser.
Jerkovich, who was the one kid? Keel.
He was here for like a minute. I'm convinced that if Kaiser came back for one more year because he left early. Mm-hmm. You guys win the national championship. Like that would have been. That
was Brandon's first year.
Yeah,
Brandon's first
and Book took over for him. So you had the game where you lost against Miami, and they got smoked by Miami. But you had the line. It was like Nelson, McGlinchey.
We were nice.
Yeah.
Josh Adams.
Josh Adams was a big running back. Yeah, like
he was
our team was legit.
They were loaded that year. They were like a quarterback away.
And that's the year we played. Who did we play? Because we were like top 5 when we went down to Miami.
Yeah, you were on your way to the playoffs.
So best atmosphere wasn't the best game because we got rolled, but best atmosphere was that Miami game. Because if you hear about Miami and it's like, oh, their fans don't go to the game, whatever. But it was like 3 versus 5 that year because Miami balled out. Their team was really good, by the way. And then we balled out because we played Georgia, lost to them early in the year. Right, and they went on going to the national championship that year. But
if Kaiser's the quarterback, you'd probably win that game.
And they had that's when they had like Chubb, Sony Michel.
Yeah. They were loaded.
Really young too. What was he? 19 or maybe just
Kaiser?
20? Kaiser.
Something like he left after his junior year.
He was very young.
And he played as a true freshman, so he was 2021. Yeah.
Atmosphere in Miami was definitely the coolest one because when they do show up, you couldn't hear. They had the music going.
Yeah.
I think they wore the all black jerseys. They came out through the smoke. Ed Reed was there, like Ray Lewis, like all their alumni it was crazy. But ended up getting rolled.
That was one of those games where I started getting nervous, like at the coin toss, because it was like the atmosphere was so crazy. I always talk about that the national championship against Alabama. I knew Notre Dame was in trouble. You remember Chance Warmack?
The right guard,
yeah. He came out with like his gut hanging out. I'm like, that is the scariest gut I have ever seen. Like Notre Dame Notre Dame has not faced a gut like that, and like they didn't. It was like Derrick Henry, and they just rolled. They rolled.
Eddie Lacy was the backup.
Eddie Lacy.
And who was
Kamara? The backup, remember that legendary?
Yeah,
it was.
Lacy, I think
Henry,
Kamara was on that.
Kamara. Their 5th string was Kenyon Drake or some shit.
Yeah, they were so loaded.
That's the thing. Even when we played them in 2020. The COVID year, we played them in the playoffs, and they don't look like a normal team. Like we played Clemson that year. Clemson had Travis Etienne and Trevor in them. They were a great team, but Bama is just like the whole roster.
They got like 4 guys like that at every position.
Like, it's crazy because the starting running back was Najee Harris, and then they got the comfortable lead. It was fourth quarter. It was late, and then they put in Brian Robinson. So Brian Robinson is running back for the Commanders. He came in fresh, fourth quarter, like just running the ball. It's like, bro, like how do you just have Najee leaves, and then you got Brian Robinson coming in,
like some backup Heisman caliber guy,
and then also Mac Jones came
Mac
in,
Jones,
and then Bryce Young went in for a couple plays. So it's like, bro, like
forget it. They're just a different. They're different.
Circling.
No, maybe this is why Tommy went there.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, it's like how many Heisman Trophy winners can I have on one offense? Let's find out.
Miami is objectively cool though. Like their uniforms, their history. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Like
they have.
Even this hand signal is sweet.
Their colors, bro.
They have the potential. I mean, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe. I don't know about Miami. Like, maybe it's hard to get kids to stay there.
I don't know.
Like, who knows? But if they could ever get it going, they got it.
Did you ever watch that 30 for 30?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. I wanted to go there after.
Yeah.
That.
Well, then that was the thing. They called it the state of Miami, which they have like some highway that goes from like Tampa to Orlando or something like that. And it's like everything south of this is our guys, and they would get all of them. They would get all of those guys, and they were just nasty. And they had Jimmy Johnson had a quote similar to what you're talking about with Bama, where he's like, they would always get so mad at me, I'm running up the score, all this stuff. And then he's like, I took out all the starters. It's just the backups would come in. What do you want me to tell them not play hard? Our backups are better than you, so we're going to win 50-0. You guys just have to take it. So
they're talented, bro. But I do want to go back to Notre Dame a little bit. We want to touch on that. We did talk about the run game, the crazy run game. O-line, we got Joel. We
Blake
got
Fisher on the other
side. You know, hopefully 2 future first rounders. But we just lost Coach Heastan.
Yeah.
He also came from the Bears. So I want to hear your take. He's put out at Notre Dame the rosters that he has or the players that he's had is just ridiculous. And now you add these 2 to him, but he leaves, and so kind of just talk about the upcoming Notre Dame roster, but also just maybe thoughts on upcoming season.
I'm nervous because it feels like whether Tommy was going to stay if they matched money, I don't know, but it seems like the money was never on the table, and then they were going to go get the guy from Utah, Ludwig.
Yeah,
and I don't know anything about him. I like the way Utah plays, but if Freeman, who I love, identifies him as like, hey, this is my guy, and then they're at the hockey game together, they're on the Jumbotron, it seems like it's a done deal, and then they can't, 2.8 million is the buyout. Find that in somebody's couch cushion at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They got money everywhere. You can't, and then you have to just promote the tight ends coach, which he might be a great coach. I don't know anything about him. I'm not saying he's not, but clearly Freeman wanted somebody else. So if they're not going to support Freeman, I think, and then it makes me it gives me a shudder that we're going back to the Charlie Weiss, Bob Davey, Ty Willingham days.
Because if they won't support Freeman on those type of moves, let's say 2 or 3 years down the line, Ryan Day's gone, Ohio State head coaching job opens up.
I would, if I were him, I'd take that in a second, because they care about football in a real way there. The Notre Dame, if they're not going to be committed to winning a championship, which you can make an argument that they're not, because I think that they got, if you look at the recruiting, they lost some big blue chip guys over NIL.
Signing day too.
Yeah. So the safety who
he went to 3 schools in one day.
He committed to 4.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He might be at Notre Dame now.
Oregon, and then I think he finished at
Oklahoma. But I think he might have stopped back at Notre Dame for 5 minutes.
He's here?
No. But he decommitted. He was Notre Dame's solid for months. Flips to Oregon, flips back to Notre Dame, goes to Oklahoma. I think that was but what are you going to do? And then the other kid went to Bama.
Keeley,
Yeah. So if they're not going to spend money with the NIL stuff, you're not going to get the right kind of championship caliber players. I think it's going to be tough.
How do you guys feel about the NIL stuff just overall? I think it's smart and beneficial, but I also feel like it's not being used to how it was supposed to be used.
I got a couple things on it. As far as I think there are people who may not be using it the right way, but I also think there are people who are. I watched a video not too long ago, and it was like an overtime video. They did it on like C.J. Stroud, some Ohio State players, and they had Travion Henderson on there, the running back, and when his like scene came up, he was talking about the NIL money that he got and started investing in real estate in Columbus, and so I think he might have a couple properties, and like they show him like in meetings, like looking at different, properties and things like that. And then he even said, he's like, I come from a family, like we didn't have much. He's like, I understand, real estate is, is profitable and things like that. So he put his money, into real estate, which is, I'm like, dude, if they're getting paid that much to go put your money in real estate in college while you're playing, I'm like, dude, that's the type of NIL where you look at it, it's like, dude, I wish I was around.
Go back in time.
Yeah. But then there's definitely also there's the flip side where it's like you buy, dumb things, just material things.
Yeah.
You don't really save your money and things like
That's
that.
a problem at the next level too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So depending on the person and also depending on the structure and the mentorship and the education that the university provides, I think it could be great. It's just how far is the program willing to go, to make sure the kids are all right with taxes.
Yeah.
All those
well,
things.
and I think that's the thing that should be taught in like high schools in general is like money management and like what does it mean to have a mortgage? How does a credit card actually work? And all these things that like when you have to become an adult, like, speaking for myself, there is like an adjustment period in your 20s where like I don't know what's going on, and then you have to kind of sort it out because you're never really taught. Like I didn't know, like I never knew how much money my parents made. It was just like everything was just like, I assumed things were up and down at times, but it was just like it was not our problem. Like I had shoes and clothes and food, and like well, I don't care. So, but it's like I didn't know like how much you need to earn and how hard it is to earn money to buy a house and do all that. I just had no concept and no appreciation of it because nobody talks about it or teaches it. So I can't imagine being 18, getting some mega deal from a car dealership where you're and like being like, I'm gonna invest in real estate. Like that kid, like good for him. But I feel like everybody should be kind of taught that, and they're not. So you're hit the nail on the head with they gotta coach people up so they can set their life up.
Should be a course or something.
And for what you said, I think that's the right way to go about it. But I'm talking about like the signing day, random school calls you and says, hey, I'll give you X amount more million to flip or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still so new that it might take a generation to kind of dial it in the right way. But I really hope that because that kid at Ohio State, he's going to be in the NFL most likely. But I'm sure that there are college kids making more money now than they probably will ever again in their life. Who might not be like a star NFL player, but they can set their whole life up with a college degree and some of this a pool of this NIL money, where you're going to be like transforming people's lives, even if they're not good enough for the NFL. Like I think that's like you like sparked something in my brain. They gotta really teach everybody, and then at the end of the day, they're adults, so they're going to do what they want, but at least give them like the knowledge to be able to do it. Henderson, right?
Travion Henderson.
To give yourself a chance to do what he's doing. And if you're at Iowa instead of Ohio State, maybe you get one apartment instead of 10, but you're still doing it. So so that would be I hope they do that.
The only issue, or it could be interesting too, is the kids who go to like Jordan Addison. He goes to Pitt. Pitt's a good program.
He won the Blitnikoff there.
Yeah. Hell of a season. And USC comes knocking, and we're like, what's the
coach, not Kiffin
or Kingsbury.
No, it's a dude from Oklahoma. What the fuck's his name?
I'm blanking.
That's his name.
It's not Kingsbury.
Kingsbury's from Arizona.
He's in Thailand, and
right. Well, what the amazing coach from Oklahoma now is on
Lincoln Riley.
Yes. Lincoln Riley, yes. On USC, he comes there, Caleb Williams, and it's like, I really understand why you went there. Like, you get Caleb Williams, you get USC, and you get Lincoln Riley for your last year, and you're going to go be a star in LA.
Done.
So it makes sense, but it's like, I think it sucks for like programs like that.
like a Pitt who like found a kid and developed him.
Yeah, because Pitt's a good program, but it's like you're getting like, thank you.
Yeah,
from a bigger one with like more money.
They're going to turn into a AAA program, like for baseball. Like like now you're in the like you want to go to the majors, go to SC. And you're gonna all the time, money, recruiting, resources, practice for 3 years, and then he's gonna jump ship. That's
tough. For JUCO kids too, and high school kids that are getting recruited.
Yeah,
like let's say you're like a 2-star getting recruited somewhere, and they're like, oh, but we can get this transfer from name the school instead. Especially JUCO kids. That's tough.
That's including the transfer portal now. So like all those things are okay. But it's crazy because you see those stories, but then there's also kids who enter the transfer portal and don't find a home.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot.
The one quarterback, he's been in like 5 or 6 schools.
Slovis, right? Yeah. I think he's at Pitt now. Or Pitt or West Virginia or one of those.
He was, I think, at both of those schools last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Like, because you were there, what years were you there?
15 to... My last season was 20, but
So were you there when the Northwestern kid came in, the safety?
Brandon Joseph.
I wasn't. He just,
you just missed. But like, are you always kind of looking over your shoulder, whether it's recruiting or transfers or anything?
So we had, when I was there, we did have Ben Scronin come in from Northwestern.
The wide receiver, yeah, still in the league.
Yeah, playing decent.
Yeah. Like he accepted his role.
Yep.
Like he'll play fullback. He'll crack down on the DN. So he's doing his thing. Special teams too.
Yep.
But I didn't really look at it like that, just because I had to like perform better anyway, because I usually came off an injury. There was one off season that I entered healthy, and that was my senior season, and I ended up getting hurt, by the way. So like I look at spring ball. I did 2 spring balls in a 6-season career.
That's crazy. That's
crazy, right?
You had multiple ACLs, right?
So I had ACL freshman year, then I had Achilles sophomore year, and then an ACL my senior year.
What was the hardest one to come back?
Achilles.
Yeah.
Achilles is like, it hurts. You're crippled for a long time. Like ACL, depending on if it's just ACL, you could walk probably like 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So that's like not that bad. But Achilles is like you're in a hard cast for a little over a month, I think, because that thing has to like really heal and get strong. Because like one step.
Did you sever it or tear it? Because I was playing pickup basketball one time, non-contact, guys snapped
it was gone,
and it balled up in his calf. And
I have a picture of surgery, which is crazy. I'll show you guys after. It's kind of nasty.
Yep, pass.
But for me, it was like every year I had to go out there, and like when I got healthy, I had to go earn it in camp. So I didn't really like look over my shoulder as like, oh, I could get replaced, because I was always trying to replace the guy who replaced me last year.
Wrestle your job back.
What about when you were getting recruited? Like, did you look at the depth charts of the schools you were getting recruited to? Like, I probably won't start there for a couple of years, but this spot I might.
You know who sold that? I did look at that, but you know who sold that? Penn State. Because that was right after like they lost scholarships. They, all that stuff. Like I came out my graduating class was 15. I don't remember when that incident and all that situation happened, but it was like right after.
They were still kind of like on
probation.
Yeah. So when Penn State was recruiting me, they were like, "Yo, you can play both ways. You can come in and start. Like we're limited scholarships." And I'm thinking like, "Oh snap! Like this is dope." But Penn State wasn't like Notre Dame's, and they just came off the probation and all that stuff, so they weren't Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was hot. Like Kelly had them rolling. They just went to a national championship. NBC, everything about Notre Dame. And so I was just like, when I came in, I looked at Notre Dame, and Van Gorder was the coach.
Yep.
So he came in, they started recruiting me again. He loved me, and then he goes like, we started looking at nickel. So like my whole thing was like, I'll come in and start nickel because Kavari was still there, and then Cole Luke was there. So those 2 veterans at corner, and I was like, dang, I probably won't play corner, but Kavari's going to go to the league, so I'll come in my sophomore year and start corner. Yeah. So when I looked at it, he was like, yeah, but we have plans for you at nickel, and like this is where we see you here. And Matthias Farley started there before, which is one of my. This is crazy.
I loved him.
He's one of like my best friends, like to this day. But like I was recruited, and had the mindset to just come in and just take his spot. And one thing about Van Gorder and Coach Kelly, like they like let me like go out there and earn it. And so like within like the first week and a half of camp, I was the #1 nickel, And then like a week before, I forget who we were playing, Texas. We're playing Texas at home, crazy. So a week before that game, I tore my ACL. And so like I was going to start nickel as a freshman.
True freshman.
As a true freshman. Damn. And then I tore my ACL. So I was like, dang. But that's literally how, so I did look at the depth chart.
Yeah.
And like I had my mind set on nickel. And I was like, whoever else they put at nickel, like in my class, I was going to beat them out. And I was just like gunning for it. And so I think, I mean, as a recruit, you definitely want to play early. Like I think if you're talented enough to go to a school like Notre Dame or, you know, those blue bloods, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, whatever, you want to do 3 years. You want to go play as a freshman.
Yep.
Like, so I think of course you look at it, but then you're also confident in your own talent to where it's like, yo, whoever's in front of me, I'm going to still go take their spot.
I got a real meatball question for you, a dumb guy question. When you're getting recruited, how much did you care about like the uniforms?
That's a great question.
Because like you mentioned Penn State, and I feel like they're all really. I think the opposite. Like they're all whites when they're on the road. I think those are so sweet.
I think it could be clean.
Yeah.
I think they're real clean. And you know what got me on the uniforms? NCAA.
Yes.
West Virginia was always an option.
Yeah.
Because of their uniform combinations, like on NCAA, you could like Pat White and
Steve Slayton.
Steve Slayton and
who was the other guy? Number 7. He's the little guy.
Noel Devine.
Noel Devine. Yeah.
So it's like I'm dressing up different combos, like blue on yellow, yellow on yellow, like crazy different combos, and I was like, West Virginia will be a dope school, and like even though they're not like that great of a program right now, their games still look lit.
Oh, they sing. They light the couches on fire after they win or lose. I think like that's Morgantown's supposed to be wild. But I was like, because you look at like these schools, like I love Notre Dame's uniforms. I hate when they do the Shamrock Series ones.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a hot take.
Yeah, and I feel, but it's like if you're USC, Alabama, Notre Dame, Michigan, like. It's been working for 100 years. If you want to be Oregon, like but they always say like, oh, the kids love like the different uniforms, but I'm like, I don't know, Alabama doesn't need them.
It's a cool switch up because those are the uniforms that we actually get to keep.
They don't let you keep your uniform?
Senior year.
Okay.
So like after our bowl game or whatever, senior year, they let you keep the uniform, but with those, since we only wear them one time, we're able to keep them and helmet too.
Yep.
So I think that was a big reason why I liked it. And it was you sauce it up different, that game. But I did wear the like old leather cleats in a game one time. It was against Navy, but those things were
tough.
Yeah. And they actually make you like
part of the uniform.
Unarmored doesn't play like you gotta rock their stuff, dude.
Adding on to what he said, what about last names? Like, did that ever cross your name? Because Notre Dame doesn't have last names.
Yeah, only for the bowl game.
I don't really pay attention to it. I think it's like it looks good in pictures.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, the jerseys are fire. Like Notre Dame fans know who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The name is sometimes a bad thing. If you jump on a double move and they
sticks in the brain.
They score a touchdown on you, and you're chasing them, and and the camera's on your back, so people know who you are. But like some people, there was 2 number 20s when I was there, so
who's you and who?
Sierra Wood
or Sebo. He's a running back.
Yeah.
He's at Pitt now, right?
He's at Pitt.
Okay.
So it's like sometimes like I would have friends who would hit me up who like knew nothing about football and be like, oh my gosh, I saw you. And it'd be a game I was like hurt or not playing or something. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, I just saw you carry the ball.
Bro, I was in rehab for my Achilles.
like, oh really?
Well, thank you.
Cool, thank you. Thanks for watching the game. No, but I think the gold helmet, like when you see it on TV, but like when you see it in person. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think Notre Dame's different, and I really think that's why Notre Dame they steal kids and if you come
that's a crazy way to word it.
Come on, man. We're talking about recruiting. Yeah. Well, that's tough, right? But when you look at it, it's like if you visit Notre Dame, it's hard for kids like not to commit there or choose to go there. I truly believe that.
Yeah, and I've been to like a ton of different. I've been to games with Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State, Penn State, Tennessee. There is something just different about Notre Dame, and it's not that it's more wild or things like that. You just get like it's almost, and maybe it is because I am just a fan, but it is like an undescribable like feeling when you're on that campus, the dome and the grotto and the band. Like it's like a very unique, special place.
I agree with that.
Touching on that, Barstool goes to some games too. They do live events. I know they did Toledo.
Yeah, so that's the college football show. So that's Portnoy and Big Cat, Brandon Walker, Casey, who shout out Casey. She just had her first baby. That's the main crew, and they go around all over the place. But Big Cat has, like, he's got Midwest in his bones. He's got Rust in his bones, you know. So he's a gambler. So the MAC, they play Tuesday and Wednesday night, so he's always loved that. So they actually did 2 MAC games this year, and then Barstool has their own bowl game now too, right. The Arizona Bowl. So there was a MAC team. They played, I think it was Toledo or Bowling Green,
Ohio,
one of those schools. They played against Wyoming in the bowl game, but they did 2 on campus. They did one in Toledo. Big Cat during COVID, we were talking about NCAA before. He played that over Twitch. And like he had like millions of people watching.
I saw that was during COVID, right?
Yeah.
He would just play. He would like play a season.
Well, he created this fake Coach
who
Doug.
became like a real person and got a job with y'all.
Coach Doug's.
Crazy.
Yeah, which Coach Doug's, I've met him several times. He's a super nice guy. He's come to our office in Chicago. I have no idea what his real name is. Like you could give me like the keys to this place. If I could give you his name, I wouldn't be able to do it. He's Coach Ducks.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like a fake character, and then this guy came out of nowhere who looked like the fake character coach, and just got a job with Barstool. And now he's just around, bro. It's the craziest concept ever.
Right. So, and like he was a big Florida State fan. So at some point, Dan left Toledo as like the fake coach, he called him Coach Doug. Like Dan named him Coach Doug's, and he made him like a fatter, balder Andy Reid. And then somehow the universe says that guy already exists. And he's like this giant Florida State fan. So then when Big Cat like took his fictional Coach Doug's and took the job at Florida State, the other Coach Doug's would like get in all Florida State gear and like give a pump-up speech into a camera as like for Dan's video game. But it was like a real person. And then we're just like, this is too crazy. You're hired.
And I was just hanging out at Barstool.
Yeah.
That's so dope. We got to get you guys to a Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I went to the BC game, the snow game last year.
Yeah, I also went to that one.
And I used to go to like a game a year, but I think I fell off the last couple. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go. I'm gonna try to. My buddy's gonna be their DJ, their game day DJ this year. So he was asking me. He doesn't want to drive alone, so he's like, "If I get you tickets and you can sit up too." Yeah, that'd be great. I love the school. So
take care of us.
Yeah. So and I hate asking for stuff. So
I'm that way too.
Yeah.
One of those.
Like I've known Tommy for a long time. I've never asked him for anything.
Yeah.
Ohio State though. I will say
that's probably a tough one.
Ohio State is I'm just saying like if there is an axe, like that's the game. Like, I don't even know if Ohio State has ever played at Notre Dame.
I think it was probably early '90s, but I've also never been to like a big Notre Dame game. I've seen them play like Wake Forest and Rutgers and Navy. Yeah, so I'd love to go to a game where it's like Clemson, like something
night game in Notre Dame Stadium. Bro?
Yeah.
Can I be the bearer of bad news right now?
What?
We ran through 2 different batteries on this podcast, and we just ran out.
No way.
So are we out?
Like our audio's going, but like the camera just ran out as we speak. On everything. Between the Andre Drummond and then this, we ran through 4 batteries.
Man.
So we like done shooting?
Bro, the Ty Isaac interview was great.
That shit was fire.
Because he hadn't done an interview ever.
Right.
And, like there were so many
mystery.
people, especially in like Central Illinois, and then USC fans, and then Michigan fans who just wondered, like naturally, like.
Yeah.
Hey, also, I know I asked you this like randomly on a text like 3 months ago. I need you to explain to me what the hell like Phil Jerkovich was at Notre Dame, because before that Boston College game, he put out that like post, and I was like, I need to ask Sean like what happened, because
the OC that was there was just on his ass, bro. Chip Long. He was just on he just wasn't a good he was mean as fuck.
He was just like, to him or to everybody?
Pretty much everyone, but like especially him because he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's like the backup quarterback. He was behind Ian. And it was just like no really like development while he was there. Like he had talent. Like if you see him at BC, like he can.
He might get drafted.
He can throw it a mile. He can run, but it's just like he couldn't really like pick up our playbook or whatever. And so he would just get like shit on. He would just get shit on by the OC, and so it just didn't work. It just didn't work out. So the reason why he keeps tweeting stuff is just because he didn't have like that great of like.
So he had a bad experience.
Yeah, and so
that sucks.
Yeah.
So he tweets. I mean, he
tweets kind of reckless.
He hates Notre Dame.
Yeah,
like, bro.
I remember Tommy. Who was the kid? I can't. It might have been Drew Pine actually. I can't. Maybe not. But then Tommy was saying that there was like. I remember talking about Jurkovic, and he's like, I think he's going to get beat out for the backup job at one point. So and that was when Tommy was the quarterback coach. Before he took the OC job. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean you could tell he's got talent, but
yeah. All right, so let's just
our camera died, so we're here back. You know, we charged it up.
Sorry guys, that sucked.
We're back.
More college football though.
I think we left off. You're gonna see the interview randomly stop somewhere in Notre Dame conversation.
Yeah,
but.
But I mean, February college football talk. That's like the one sport that is truly like 365 because people care about the recruiting, people care about the coaching changes, who's going to be in the two deep, all that stuff. College football is 365.
Do you follow recruiting like that?
Not as much as I used to. Like I remember when he was getting recruited.
Yeah, I don't because I didn't really care about recruiting. But there's a kid in Chicago right now who goes to school like 10 minutes from here at St. Ignatius. His name's Justin Scott. He's like a 5-star D tackle. And he's the first kid where I've actually been like, all right, he goes to school 8 minutes from our office. Like, I'm gonna keep an eye on him and see where he goes. Getting recruited by Georgia, Notre Dame, all of them.
Throw some of that Lyrical Lemonade NIL money at him.
I gave him some merch already.
Yeah, all right.
Listen, like, maybe cut that part out. Like, I'm not doing it like, yo, here's some merch. Because I send gear to Michigan players and all them.
Yeah, but it would be kind of cool.
But it would be kind of sweet.
Yeah.
It'd be sweet if, like, you did that. We'll cut that out. Anyways.
Nah, Notre Dame needs some help, some type of NIL. I don't know who's going to come from. But I mean, also, are you tapped into, like, some of these collectives and everything?
What do you mean?
So collectives
clearly not.
Yeah, collectives are like basically ties to the university, and it could be just like a fund of money, and they can distribute it out to the players.
Okay, so I have heard of that, but I've never done anything.
Some are for profit, some are for non-profit. So Brady Quinn runs fund. It's called FUND Fund. And I don't know if he's the head, but he's involved.
He's the face of it.
So players, they give.
It's a good guy to have his face.
Right,
Handsome as fuck.
Unobjectively, like, cute guy for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
He's borderline pretty.
We had him on the podcast, and we asked him like which Brady, is pretty
more handsome. Yeah,
and so I think he said him.
He's all natural.
He should. Yeah.
We had him on too. He's a load. You could tell he still pumps weights. Like he's jacked. Love Brady Quinn.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I love him. But he's doing the collective stuff, and so basically rewards the guys for doing charitable work around the community.
Oh, it's awesome.
And some are for profit, so it's like some I don't really actually know, but I'm sure some just like, oh, come here, like we have this money in our collective.
We'll
toss you some. But the whole NIL space, like we mentioned earlier, like it's good, it's bad. Talk specifically about Notre Dame. What do you think we need to do to get the train rolling? Is it gonna be to see Coach Kelly win a national championship, or is it gonna be see Tommy Rees win a national championship? Is it gonna be like us just seeing someone like have success somewhere else, and it's like, what's the difference?
Well, I think it's gonna be more internal. So I think it's when you go from perennially, like your whole time there, every year, I thought Notre Dame had a legitimate shot at the playoff. So I think those days, if those kind of seasons dry up, we just I thought Freeman had a good first year, 8-4, 9-4 with the bowl win, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think for most first year head coaches, especially if you've never been a head coach, you'll take that, even though they had some ugly losses with Marshall and you don't want to see that if you're Notre Dame. But overall, I'd say a successful year. But if you start drifting down 8, 7, 6 wins, then that's when it's going to be. And Notre Dame, I love Notre Dame, but it does seem like they always have this push and pull between the academic side, where it's like we want to be known as a Catholic academic institution who also plays football, instead of being like, we're Alabama, like we want to win a national championship, or Ohio State or Michigan, like those schools will do what it takes to win. And it feels like Notre Dame wants to kind of just like, it would be nice to win, but we want to do things our way. That's the vibe as an outsider. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like Kelly was such like a domineering personality that he got what he wanted. He seemed like he could get it done, and maybe bully the administration around a little bit to maybe get some kids in or get things rolling the way that, they build the GUG, they put the AstroTurf in, they do all like the stuff that Notre Dame was like, oh no, we only play on grass and we let it grow a foot high. That's how we do it at Notre Dame. And then he kind of was able to, like almost like a cult of personality, like change all of that. And maybe there's a little bit of that vacuum where there's like a power grab, and Freeman, he's never been a head coach before, so maybe he doesn't understand like the politics that are involved in that job. And I'm worried that it'll piss him off and he'll leave, or worse, that he can't be successful and that his career is set back because you took a Ferrari and all of a sudden people are like, oh, you went 6-6. Like maybe it's Freeman's a problem. I guarantee you Freeman's not the problem. Mm-hmm. So it'll be. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous about Notre Dame going forward.
The players love Freeman.
Seems sweet.
They love and that was like pretty much why he got the job. It's like there wasn't one player that probably went into the office and was like, "Don't hire Freeman." Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people. Someone I replied. I think I said like Notre Dame Twitter is active today or something, and it was around the hire or not getting Ludwig.
Yep.
And the fans were just like, they showed up today. Like work didn't matter. They they were out. They were on Twitter.
Buddy, I was having thumb cramps. Tweeting so much.
And I thought about it, and I was like, well, maybe they want to stay internal just because they stayed internal with Marcus Freeman, and I'm sure there were other candidates out there, maybe from the NFL or wherever, but maybe they wanted to stay internal because the players like him. He's a tight end coach. We just had Mayer do great. Mm-hmm. He's probably worked real close with Reese, so it's probably similar offense. He knows the guys already. So I was just thinking to keep things rolling a little bit.
Continuity.
Spring ball is in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So it's just to stay on pace. Maybe they wanted to go internal. Obviously, he'll have his he'll switch things up on some certain things, maybe play calls or whatever. But that was my thought behind it.
I hope you're right.
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope you're right. I don't think you bring the Utah guy Ludwig to a hockey game unless which is a very public thing. It's one thing to have him in your office for an interview, but if you're making public appearances on campus, it's almost like Freeman was trying to sell him on it.
Yeah.
Look at the student support for hockey, or whatever it is. We're gonna have a good time here, and then they're on the jumbotron. That to me is an indicator that they were looking outside, and they had a guy that they liked outside. And then the tight ends coach, what's his name, Gerard something, that he was a backup plan
Thompson or something.
And so I don't know. I hope it's your story and not the one that I'm speculating.
I hope I'm right
about.
too.
Yeah.
That's me trying to be mad.
That's some rose-colored glasses right there.
Yeah. It's I don't know. At the end of the day, I just hope the players perform well. I think no matter what, our O-line and running backs, we're good there. We're gonna have a nice.
I'm nervous about Houston leaving too, though.
Yeah, it was Gerard Parker, by the way. Okay. I just had to Google it really quick. I think Notre Dame's fan base was having a great offseason because it was Freeman's awesome, Reese was awesome. He stands one of the best ever.
Still a top 10 recruiting class.
We got CJ Carr, 5-star quarterback coming in. Feeling good about things.
We'll see though.
Yeah.
Maybe he's now that Reese is gone.
He did publicly come out a week ago on Instagram and said, this doesn't change anything, so all right. We'll see. But anyways, it's things are going really good, and then in a matter of 4 days, it's our coordinator got taken. We missed out on this other guy, and he stands gone.
And by all accounts, did you ever go to Wish Fest? You know what that is?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
I went 1 year, yeah.
Yeah, so I know the Wisher family pretty well. We work with their foundation. We've been doing the Wish for Forever Foundation, which is look it up if you're listening to this. It is a wonderful charity, and they throw a great party every December.
They do.
And and then it used to be when Nick was on the team, they had a lot of the Notre Dame guys would come up. So I remember I met McGlinchey and Nelson, and basically, and everyone was like, yeah, Heastan is just the absolute best guy. He's like, he's changed my life. He's like a perfect coach. And then he went to the Bears, and he got swept up in the Matt Nagy mess, and went back to Notre Dame. It was like, oh, Notre Dame has their identity back. We're going to punch you in the mouth for 60 minutes. Yeah. And I love that kind of football. That's big boy. That's mean guy football, which I love. And it felt like there was a couple of years when Heastan wasn't there that they lost their way with the offensive line a little bit. So I'm nervous about that too. Like I'm almost more nervous about losing Heastan than Reese in a way.
I agree with that. Entirely.
It's gonna be tough, huh?
I'm scared, and I'm an optimist by nature. Yeah, but I'm a little bit nervous about this.
We got a good schedule too.
Yeah,
pull that up.
We go to Ireland. We go to Ireland to start it off.
Navy, right?
Navy.
Yeah,
I think it's like week 0 or something. We go to.
It's the last week in August, I think. So
we go to Ireland, which is just a dope experience for Notre Dame in general.
Were you there when they did it the last time?
I did it.
Okay,
So
it was like 13 or something.
We were supposed to go COVID year. Obviously, that got canceled, and we were also supposed to play Lambeau Field versus Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then that got canceled, so we only had to play ACC teams. But we were supposed to play in some dope stadiums that year. I mean, and that opportunity would have been dope. So what's our schedule?
So you start off with Navy,
win,
and then Tennessee State,
win,
easy. NC State,
win.
Central Michigan,
win.
4-0, and then you go to Ohio State.
Win.
Ohio State comes here. Yeah.
Win.
And then Duke, Louisville,
win.
USC,
win.
Pitt,
win.
Clemson,
win.
Fuck that, was funny. Wake Forest and Stanford.
Win. So the undefeated blog just wrote itself, and yeah, but that is like Clemson. You would think
2 or 3.
Clemson bounces back. SC is going to be awesome again. Obviously, Ohio State is going to be awesome. So if you let's say worst case scenario, you lose all 3 of those, and then you have another like
bowl win.
Yeah,
10-3,
something, but or you slip up somewhere, and all of a sudden you're 8-4.
NC State's not bad.
They're not bad. They lost a quarterback. Leary went to Kentucky, but
they used to have a good identity, good culture.
Yeah.
Stanford's
you never know.
Yeah,
that's one they probably wish they had back last year too. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be. I'm very nervous. It's the first time I feel like since Kelly that I've been like nervous about a Notre Dame offseason, because you always felt like they were trending in the right direction.
I do like the quarterback though.
Yeah, like Sam Hartman. That's a huge upgrade.
I think he could be awesome. I want to see us air it out more. I thought Drew came in and snapped.
I liked Pine. Yeah,
I thought he played well. I'm excited to see what he does. At Arizona State. I think that'll be a great opportunity for him.
What was y'all's favorite Drew Pine moment at Notre Dame? Mine was Wisconsin 2 seasons ago.
Soldier Field game?
Soldier Field, that was awesome.
I was at that game.
too.
That one,
yeah, that was sweet.
That stadium is crazy.
Yeah, it was like a bowl game where it was like split. It was really, it was
Wisconsin,
cool.
Their fans are good.
They got great fans. Yeah.
The jump around. Doing
that at Soldier Field is so dangerous. The jump around, like.
You want to hear a story?
Yes.
I went to Kenny Chesney concert. This is like 2010, and at Soldier Field. And it was like he came on at night, so I'm like 24. I got absolutely shit faced all day long. We go into the concert. It's probably like 3:00 in the afternoon because they had like bands all day long. I was dancing. I fell over the railing into the section below. Like did one full like half turn, landed on my ass on the back of a seat, and then I saw like security coming to me, so I didn't want to get kicked out. It was like 4 hours until Kenny Chesney came on, so I just fucking darted and like outran security. I was like running through the concourse, hid in a bathroom, took my shirt off. I had less fat back then, so I'd pop the shirt off every once in a while, and then like hid there for a while because I just didn't want to get kicked out. They were probably just concerned about my health since I had like a 15-foot, 20-foot drop or whatever it was, and then. Once like it got dark and the lights came out, I just went back to my friends. But I hung out like in that bathroom stall for probably like 2 hours.
Did you not get seriously injured? Like that's a fall from that.
I had a bruise on my right hamstring from the back of the knee all the way up to like my lower back. It was like the worst, and it was that for a month. It was like this like purple bruise. But that was really it. And then like a little bit on my other leg. But it was my right leg that was like completely. And like, and I was limping for weeks, and it was like, It's also like one of those things where it's like I don't even know what to do. Like I think I was 20. It was my first summer after college, so I was like 23, and so I didn't even like want to tell my parents because I'm like, how did this happen? Well, let me tell you, I got way too drunk, was dancing, and then lost my balance and fell out of a section of a stadium, and so I like never went to the doctor. It ended up healing, but it was like the worst bruise I've ever seen on anybody.
And that's exactly why Wisconsin fans should not do jump around.
Correct.
At Soldier Field.
You got to be careful.
It was
too steep.
It was a cool college environment. I'm so excited for the Bears to move.
Me too.
At first they announced it, and I was like, like as a fan, like so on Lakeshore Drive, no, like I don't want. But more I've thought about it, Arlington's gonna be sweet.
The Soldier Field experience, like that Notre Dame Wisconsin game, I missed the entire third quarter because I got up to take a piss, and like you just can't get back because the lines are crazy. It's so crammed in the concourses, and
Outdated.
and then it takes you. It took me, I was living on the west side at that point. It took me 2 hours to get home.
Can't get out of there.
Can't get out of there. Can't get an Uber. So I walked up to like State and Lake basically before I could get an Uber. So
their Uber section there is terrible. You have to walk downtown.
United Center does a good job with it. Like, they execute that perfectly.
Yeah.
And Soldier Field just can't.
United Center, you like wait in a little bubble or something?
Yeah, it's like a tent. Yeah.
I went to the Bears 49ers week 1 game when it started raining.
Yeah.
When everyone tried to pack themselves in the concourse where it's like sheltered essentially.
Yeah.
It was like one of the worst stadium experiences I've ever had.
It's little things too, like the food stinks.
The food sucks.
Awful.
Yeah.
So I think that and it's the smallest stadium in the NFL, which we're the biggest market with only one team. LA's got 2, New York's got 2.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have the biggest solo market only have the smallest stadium?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So I think they'll have a first class stadium. I'm a big horse racing guy though.
Mm-hmm.
I got into that during COVID. We bought into a group, so I own like 5% of like 7 or 8 race horses.
Nice.
I only really like one. We named one of them after Jay Cutler, Smoking Jay.
Yes.
And but like I wish that they would just leave the track there at Arlington, so you could do both, because I think the Raiders Stadium in Vegas is on a 60-acre property. That's like a huge stadium, state of the art. But they got parking, they got everything. The Arlington property is like 350 acres. It's a massive, massive piece of property. So you could have a football stadium, like a world-class football stadium, on 80 acres with all the parking you ever want, and still keep the track. So I wish that they do. I hope that they do that. I don't think that they will.
Do you think you'll have the same fan experience?
I think so.
Like you look at Miami Dolphins, a problem for them is like the Orange Bowl moved. It's not, not in Miami. It's not close anymore. But
they're not a great sports town though.
True.
In general. So I know that they're because I've done it, because I've gone from Chicago to the track. I've done that. It's a very easy metro ride. So if you get on the metro train at Ogilvy or right down on Madison Street there, or Union Station, I think it's going to be. I think door to door, even if you live in Chicago, I bet you can get there and back just as fast, if not a little faster, going to Arlington than you do at Soldier Field, just because it's such a nightmare, traffic wise.
Pause that thought for 1 second. Can you check this audio card really quick? It said limited space remaining, so I'll press OK.
That'll be dope, bro. I'm glad we switched into. That was a good transition into the.
14 minutes left on the audio.
I can tell you right now, there's about 20 minutes left on that batteries.
All right, take the main camera, put it wide,
we got 14 minutes.
And we got 14 minutes to wrap this up. We're pushing boundaries today. That's what I like.
Spoke too soon.
What's that?
This one's done too.
The battery?
We're in the same spot. No outro.
Crazy. Is that one done? No, the second one.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Dude, Drummond's got 1.3 million
Yeah, that's what I said.
saw that.
That's what I said. I was like, dude, when I got him, I was like, he's gonna be my biggest one following wise. But think about NBA. People follow NBA players. You can see their faces.
Might have like 200,000 in China or something, too. Like the NBA is so big in China.
Number one pick overall.
Yeah, he was number one overall.
Or in high school, he was the number one.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And then he was number 9 pick, and he's been to like 6 different teams, big market. So
yeah, Pistons. I remember.
He does Blippy. So you do shit like that.
Oh, he did Blippy?
He did Blippy.
And
it's like 5 million views.
My nephews love that.
That's what
he said his kids do.
Yeah. I fucking hated Blippy.
Yeah,
I'm glad they grew out of that phase.
Yeah, he seems annoying.
Yeah.
What was I about to say? We were just talking about something.
Well, we're talking about the cameras.
Well, yeah.
So
in the same spot. It's crazy.
So what do you say? How much time we got left on that?
We're cooked on cameras.
On the audio right now,
it's like 12 minutes probably.
you have 12 minutes.
Okay.
And on this, I have no idea how long that's going to take. Because it had charged to like 60%, and we shot for 15 minutes.
That one's done now too?
Yeah. So what I think, and I think we should have done this the first time, is just end it, and it'll just be black screen. We'll have like a little audio waveform.
Yeah, we've done that before too. Yeah.
I'll do that if you want. We could just.
I'll do it. I mean, like at the end of the day, we'll just throw some like B-roll or some shit at the. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll throw some stuff in there.
So we got 12. Do we want to finish talking about? Do you want to get into the Bulls or any other Chicago stuff? 'Cause then we can get there to like 5 minutes and then we'll wrap.
I got you. All right. So if you're wondering, the camera's out again. That sucks. That sucks extra hard.
Well, we still have audio.
We have 10 minutes of audio. So we're gonna finish this Arlington thought.
Rapid fire.
Overall, Arlington, I think it's gonna be awesome.
Me too.
I think I'm not gonna see it until I'm like 31, probably, which sucks.
I might be dead.
Don't say that. I hope not. I hope not.
Nice of you.
But all right. Bears have the number 1 pick.
Yep.
In the draft.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want them to do?
I think the smart thing, and what everyone's saying, is trade back, but I don't want to trade back further than 4. I love that Jalen Carter. I love Jalen Carter. I feel like he's a guy who just wrecks the offense's entire game plan. You get a disruptive guy in the middle. When he picked up that quarterback on LSU with one arm and then did like the number 1 finger, I'm like, well, he's the best, strongest player. He's the strongest human I've ever seen. That's what I decided in that moment. And that's the guy I wanted to anchor my defense. So I'll trade back to 4, pick up an extra pick. But I don't want, like, I've seen things with like Carolina, Atlanta. Like, I don't want to go back to 8, 9. I want that Colts pick instead and get Carter, because I think he seems so special to me.
I also want to trade down. I only want to trade down to either Houston at 2 and get like maybe that 33rd pick in return, or the Colts at 4. Get either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter at 4, and then go from there.
And everybody in the room we're in on Fields.
I love Justin Fields.
Me too.
Sean's not a Bears fan, but what are your thoughts on Fields?
I think he's great. I don't know. He's a great athlete. You saw what he did at Ohio State, quarterback wise. Like, he has a tremendous arm. You give him talent on the outside, he's gonna make plays. I think you just got to throw the pieces out there. He needs an O-line for sure. But I think I like him because it's not like, oh, he pouted or he made a shake. Like, he made the plays. He would take off. Like, he did his thing, and he put the Bears in position to win games.
He seems like he's tough as nails too.
Yes.
He takes a beat and he just keeps on going.
I hate how they judge Fields based on, all right, who are Fields' weapons this year? All respect to these guys. Equanimous St. Brown.
They have a superstar named St. Brown.
Equanimous St. Brown.
He comes from good stock, great coaching, great football program.
Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
They had Dante Pettis.
Stinks.
They had Mooney, who was a dog that got hurt.
I like Mooney.
Claypool halfway through the season. We still need to see that play out.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
Byron Pringle, who was injured for most of the year.
Yeah, but I like him too. I don't think he'll be back.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. But what I'm saying is, his weapons he had this year were just not ideal, and his offensive line was also not ideal.
Yeah.
So I hate when mainstream media heads talk about Justin Fields like he had the weapons that Trevor Lawrence had.
Well, dude, I feel like he was in an MVP combo.
Yeah, if he wasn't on the worst team in the league.
People were talking about his play though,
Yeah.
And like the things he was doing, like he was breaking records and like rushing records and things like that. But I'm like, this dude is making plays. Like he's putting the Bears.
Yeah.
He's allowing them to compete at least.
Well, and that I feel like it's the people who like hate on Fields the most are the people who only watch Red Zone. It's like my boss, Dave Portnoy, calls him the 58-minute man because he'll be good for 58 minutes, but when he had a couple of drives where Minnesota, Washington, where the 2 minutes really just didn't get it done. But it's like Green Bay was another one. But it was just like he doesn't have anything around him. Like, and if they know what's coming and the guys can't get open, it's like what do you expect them to do? So if you're tuning into Red Zone and you see him screw something up on the last drive, like you might form your opinion on 3 plays when they'd scored 30 points. Because of him and him alone.
We're only in that position to potentially win those games because of crazy plays he had done throughout it.
Correct.
What was I going to say? And the Bears are probably, this year's Bears are probably the best, worst team ever.
Completely.
They lost 8 games, I'm guessing. They lost probably like 6 or 7 games by like 1 touchdown or less. It was all very tight, close games where they're
the greatest 3-14 team I've ever seen. Give me another 3-13 team, the Bears would beat them.
Yes.
They're the best 3-13 team of all time.
All right, Sean. We have not very long left, I'll be honest. Maybe give an outro just for when that.
Make sure we get it.
Just to have it, and then we can talk until it dies.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
We should have done that. We should have started with that.
Yeah.
We should have. And we will all learn from this.
We'll listen to him more. Yeah.
Well, I thought this was a great episode. Real easy conversation. Talking Notre Dame football, Bears football, Chicago sports in general. Your career at Barstool, where Barstool is going to go from here. We'll definitely have to do this again just because, ran out of camera, about to run out of audio, but didn't run out of conversation. So,
yeah.
But Varsity House podcast, make sure you subscribe, like, comment. I'm looking around for the camera right now, trying to. But no, it was a great episode. Appreciate you, Barstool Chief.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me in. It's a very cool place to hang out and just be. I feel like you guys are good guys. It was an easy conversation, so I'm thrilled you guys asked me. So happy to do it.